What it is, YouTube, my name is Batman, and if you want to get a good idea of what Ghost Squad's mode is going to feel like, I suggest you get on Black Ops 2 and go play the combat training playlist. Or you could get on Black Ops 1 and just play their combat training. You know, they have a whole sort of mini arena dedicated to it. I consider Ghost Squad's mode a slap in the face, a really unfunny joke. All the new Squad's mode consists of is a glorified version of Black Ops 1 combat training. For instance, Squad vs. Squad is a new game mode where you and 5 bots compete against an enemy team consisting of 1 player and 5 bots also. I could do that in Black Ops 1 combat training. War Game will allow you and 5 other players to compete against a team of 6 bots. I could also do that in Black Ops 1 combat training. Squad vs. Squad is basically the exact same thing as War Game. You and 5 teammates fighting 6 bots, except the 6 bots have been customized by some random player who is offline. Or whatever. And then of course there's Safeguard, which is the wave defense game mode that is based off of MW3 survival, and it's still on the multiplayer maps and the multiplayer engine. And you get to customize your classes the same way, and probably the big difference is between this and the other Squad's game modes is that the AI will sometimes have dogs and juggernauts and helicopters. So granted, you couldn't do that in Black Ops 1 combat training, but I don't see how it could be that much better than MW3 survival, which sucked ass to begin with. Really, the only difference between Black Ops 1 combat training and Ghost Squad's mode is that you can customize the AI classes. And you know, that's neat. And it's not that these are bad ideas by themselves. They'll probably be fun to play. I thoroughly enjoyed playing against the AI on James Bond Nightfire back on the GameCube. But for me, and I suspect for a lot of other players, once they realize it's just combat training, it is kind of a huge letdown. You know, like even if you enjoyed Black Ops 1 combat training, you gotta keep in mind that not only could you play all these Squad's game modes in Black Ops 1 combat training, but on top of that, you had zombies. Now imagine if Black Ops 1 had come out and said, hey guys, we're not doing zombies this year, instead you get combat training. I bet you people would have been kind of disappointed. And what's worse is, this is the second disappointment in a row when it comes to Infinity Ward's Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3 survival mode wasn't terrible, but I think it was obviously half-assed. The clearest evidence being that it didn't get its own maps, which to me says they didn't have time to build separate maps, because I don't think at that time it could have been a memory problem, because Black Ops 1, again, was able to offer the full multiplayer experience along with huge, separate, and diverse maps for zombies, along with diverse mechanisms for zombies that weren't in multiplayer and separate guns. And they still pull that off to this day. The problem with survival not having its own maps, and seeing as Safeguard won't have its own maps this time around either, it's probably a problem that I suspect will continue. When the maps aren't designed with wave defense in mind, it makes playing wave defense on said map very monotonous. There aren't many options available for where to defend or how to defend. There isn't a lot of room for creativity. There isn't any room for dynamic gameplay. What they did in MW3 was choose some random maps where they thought survival would work, and the result is that when you played survival, 90% of the map was useless. It might as well not even be there, because there was never any reason to go over there unless it had one of those little crates where you have to buy shit. And so the only sensible strategy really was to find shelter somewhere that had a roof to protect from choppers and only one entrance so you could mow down the absolutely pathetic AI single file as they entered. And that was fun the first time you did it, and never again really, because every single match at the end of the day, if your goal was to get to a higher round, consisted of you and your friend camping in the same room for long durations of time, which is monotonous and lacks any replay value whatsoever. And that's exactly what I am now expecting with Ghosts, because it's the exact same formula, and there's no rational reason to expect anything different with the exact same formula. So that's frustrating. I mean, I cut some slack for Modern Warfare 3, you know, I cut Infinity Ward some slack. For one, because, you know, they had all the West Ampella lawsuits going on at the time, which really fucked with development, and my understanding is they had only 5 months to make MW3, which is half the time it usually takes to make a Call of Duty, so the entire game itself was literally half-assed, because it had to be. And I think survival was extra half-assed because Infinity Ward hadn't originally planned to put it in the game, but at the last second before release they realized that they had to do something for Zombies fans, because Zombies had gotten so popular during the course of Black Ops 1, and everyone I think sort of expected IW to put in their own wave defense, and more importantly, IW realized Spec Ops wasn't going to cut it this time around. So at the very last second they threw some AI on multiplayer maps and called it wave defense, and it flopped big time. And the other argument I have as to why it was proof of why it was half-assed is that they still had Spec Ops. I don't know why they would put all their energy, put half their energy into Spec Ops and then put their other half energy into Wave Defense for MW3, right? What it says to me is they had already built Spec Ops and then they realized they had to put Wave Defense in. So, well, yeah, it was totally half-assed, and that's why I give them credit for it, because they did the best with the time that they had. But I'm not cutting them slack this time around, because they had all the time and memory in the world, and this seems even more half-assed than before. I mean, ask yourself, how much time do you think it took the developers to put AI bots on multiplayer maps? If it took them longer than a standard work week, then they're bad at their jobs and they should seek employment elsewhere. So, everything you can do in Ghost Squads mode, you could do on Black Ops 1 combat training, or MW3 survival. And, you know, that's nothing that new. Customizing bots classes is a new feature, but it's not exactly revolutionary. And on top of that, none of it sounds that fun. You know, combat training was fun every once in a while. Like, me and my buddy Josh would just smoke a blunt and play Nuketown combat training against easy bots and just boost choppers and drop 150 kills. But that was only once every now and then that I would enjoy that, and it's certainly not something that I would be excited for in a new game. The exact same sentiment applies to MW3 Survival, and it sucks because I really enjoy Wave Defense. For me, it's something more casual that I can do with my buddies when multiplayer has just become too frustrating. Some of the fondest gaming memories I have are on Black Ops 1 Zombies, you know, just trying to break around 40, and it's like that casual, more relaxed, though equally challenging and enjoyable experience won't really be an option in Ghosts, because I'm not going to get off multiplayer just so I can go play more multiplayer against AI bots. That sounds so completely redundant and pointless. I don't even know why they give it its own separate category along campaign and multiplayer. They should just make it a playlist section in the multiplayer, just like how Black Ops 2 did with combat training this time around, because that's all this bullshit is in the end. So, this year, I guess when I get tired of COD multiplayer, instead of playing COD Wave Defense like I always have in the past, I'll just put in a different fucking game. Please remember to rate the video and like me on Facebook. This is Batman, signing out.